Let's just dive right into this explainer today because we are unpacking an absolutely incredible story. We're looking at the journey of a guy named Ethan, who quite literally went from having absolutely nothing to building a massive fortune. If you've ever wondered how someone actually makes that leap, not just getting lucky, but through pure grit and strategy, well, you're in the right place.
Because the core question we really need to tackle today is just this. What does it take to go from nothing to millions? And look, we aren't just going to read you some feel-good fairy tale here. We're going to systematically deconstruct the actual mechanics of his success and break down the real data points of his life.
To kick things off, just listen to this realization straight from Ethan. He says, "Money didn't make me successful. Discipline, hard work, and persistence did." This kind of sets the entire stage for our explainer. It really highlights how these specific, actionable behaviors literally transformed his destiny. It's a total shift in perspective, right?
So let's look at Section 1, the humble beginning.
Ethan grew up in an impoverished village where his father worked incredibly long hours and his mom struggled just to put food on the table. But within that absolute scarcity, there was this immense emotional wealth. His mother used to tell him, "Son, we may not have much money, but never stop believing in yourself." This was absolutely crucial. It gave him his foundational why and built up this internal armor he was going to need for what came next. Which brings us to the next phase, facing rejection. This right here perfectly illustrates what we can call the crucible of rejection. On one hand, you've got the harsh reality, employers constantly turning him away, saying he had no experience, and even friends mocking him, literally telling him people like them just don't get rich. But look at his response. It was pure defiance. Instead of buying into it, he refused to quit. He adopted this mindset that success belongs to those who refuse to give up. He didn't see rejection as a stop sign. He saw it as a filter. So how exactly did he push through that filter? Let's move to our next section, learning and building. Instead of letting all those no's defeat him, Ethan used that intense friction to make a massive pivot. He basically created a 3-step framework. Step 1, face the rejection head on. Step 2, invest literally every ounce of free time into self-education. And Step 3, launch a small online business. Spending late nights learning on a battered old laptop, he turned his struggle into this highly repeatable engine for growth. And here is the real takeaway. Ethan said, "Knowledge is an investment no one can take away." He recognized this fundamental truth. Sure, he couldn't control employers slamming the door in his face, and he definitely couldn't control his complete lack of starting capital. But you know what he could control? His own skill set. He made his value absolutely undeniable. Now, having skills doesn't mean you win overnight. That brings us to Section 4, weathering the storm. Look, launching a tiny online business from a childhood bedroom is not glamorous. For months, almost nobody bought a thing. Bills were piling up, and he was on the absolute brink of just throwing in the towel. But his mother's wisdom anchored him again. She told him, "Every storm eventually passes, son." When the math just wasn't mathing, this mindset proved that sheer endurance, just refusing to die, is sometimes your single most vital business strategy. And eventually, that endurance really does pay off. Let's look at Phase 5, the breakthrough. After years of just relentless persistence, the momentum finally shifted. And I really want you to look at the sheer scale of this timeline. We go from day 1 in that tiny village, through that crushing phase of facing rejection, into the really lonely years of skill building, then starting the business, until finally, year 10, the millionaire milestone. It wasn't an overnight thing. It was a methodical, grueling, decade-long climb. 10 full years of facing failures, battling endless effort, and just maintaining this unwavering belief. Going from a tiny house with barely enough food to a self-made millionaire handling thousands of global orders. That right there is the true timeline of persistence. But the hero's journey is never really complete without returning home with the elixir, right? Which brings us to our final phase, giving back to the community. Ethan firmly believes, if I can rise from nothing, anyone can. The amazing thing is, the wealth didn't change his heart. He proved this, not just by talking about it, but with a real action. He started actively donating to schools and helping out kids who were growing up in the exact same difficult situations he had to endure. He essentially became the exact resource he'd never had growing up. As we start to wrap up this explainer, Ethan leaves us with this incredibly profound reminder. Never give up on your dreams. Your story is still being written. It's such a powerful realization that our current circumstances, no matter how tough they might seem right now, absolutely do not dictate our final chapters.
So take this final blueprint with you today. Dream big, work hard, stay humble, never quit. We've deconstructed the whole anatomy of his success, and I really want to leave you with one key question to think about as you go about your day. What is the one new skill that you can start investing in tonight to begin rewriting your own story?